To set up a new employee, log in to PayrollRelief and go to the employee menu on the right-hand side. At the bottom of the screen, click the plus sign to create a brand new record for you to fill in. You're going to start by entering the employee's social security number, address, and then information below this thin gray line here is not required, but you can enter it if you'd like. So that would be gender, ethnicity, phone number, birth date, cell phone. If you do want the employee to have access to their online portal, you will need to enter an email address here. And then once you enter the email address, you can click Allow Access. And then when you save it, it will send the employee an email to set up their login for the portal. Moving on, if you go over to the Employment tab, you will most likely not need to check any of the boxes at the top. We will submit the new hire reporting for you, so you don't need to check that box. We will need a hire date, which will dictate new hire reporting. And then if you want to enter a job title, you can. If you have workers' comp set up, you'll have a drop down here to select the classification. If we're not handling your workers' comp, that will not be there. SOC code is only for certain states. We'll let you know if you need to pay attention to that. And then location, department, and group may be there or may not, depending on your company setup. So just pay attention. If you have these items, feel free to select them. If not, the one thing we do need is the hire date. On the compensation tab, if you have multiple pay frequencies, you're going to need to select the correct pay frequency from the drop-down menu, and then select if the employee will be paid salaried or hourly. If they're paid salaried, you are going to enter the annual pay here, and that will automatically calculate the default rate. Also, you may note that there are default hours which are dictated by the pay schedule setup. So if you had a weekly pay schedule, the default would be 40, for example. Alternatively, if you want to do an hourly setup, just change this to hourly. Remove the default hours for an hourly employee so that they don't accidentally get paid. And then go ahead and enter the default rate there, and it will automatically calculate the overtime rate for you. Save. On the Taxes tab, this is where you're going to input the employee's federal and state tax information. So up here, if you have a new W-4 from 2020 or later, it's very important that you enter the date here because that will drive what fields are available to you. So if you don't have a date in here, you can enter exemptions because that's how the old W-4 form worked. If you have a date in here that is after 2020, it will open up these fields. And if you have anything in the exemptions, it will zero it out when you save because the new W-4 does not have exemptions. Instead of those exemptions, you have a dependent credit adjustment from step 3. So if the employee had $2,000, you would enter that there. So these fields correlate exactly with the fields on the new W-4. But again, if you do have an older W-4 from 2019 or prior, you can just leave the date blank or enter the date it was completed, and it will drive that exemptions field. Down here at the bottom, if you have multiple states, make sure you are selecting the right states. If you have any questions about that, just reach out to us. Right now, this is defaulting to New York, so there are some extra fields here. Most states, however, just have the state and then, married, single, etc. But again, any questions at all, just reach out. Deductions, the screen looks crazy for this client because they are a sample client, so we've got a bunch of stuff in here. But when you go to set an employee up, you will only see deductions that are relevant to your company. So if you need to set up a deduction, for example, let's do Med 125, put the amount in here and then just check the checkbox to enable it. You can also enter a start date. So maybe this employee is brand new and they're going to start benefits in a couple months. Go ahead and enter the start date and then it will automatically begin after the start date. For direct deposit, you're going to need to do use direct deposit checkbox. You're going to enter the check account name, which can be something like checking, savings. It can be the name of the bank. It can be Bank One. It doesn't matter what you call it, but you do have to have something in the account name. Then you'll enter the routing and the account number and enter the account number again and hit save. If the employee has a garnishment, please send that paperwork to us and we will get that set up for you. And then for PTO, if your company has a default policy, that will automatically be set up for the employee. If you do not have time off accruals for all employees, or if that varies by employee, then you will need to set that up manually. But again, if you have any questions at all, please just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help.